What is yours should be mine. What is mine is never enough. I watch, I wait, I seethe. I'll let you flaunt, bask in what you have. When you least expect it, I'll rip it away from you piece by piece until nothing remains.
Depth Spelunking is a game that has left me wanting to check under the bed. Not because there might be monsters, but because every inch of manliness and testosterone has been whacked away from my body, and I'm desperately trying to find it again. You can probably attribute this to the novelty of playing this for the first time, not knowing about any of the mechanics or enemies. However, saying that would be giving this game a huge disservice, because even after playing a few runs and figuring out the gist of how everything works, it still feels completely suffocating to play. In a good way, of course. I hate it, but it's good. The premise of the game is pretty simple, as you'd come to expect from a Roblox game. You avoid a monster while trying to complete a specific number of tasks. Now, the quote-unquote fun of the game comes from figuring out who the monster, or as the game calls it, entity, is, and plan your strategy accordingly while you search for the minigames you need to complete to progress to the next floor. In every round, the monster is always moving, patrolling, lurking. It doesn't know where you are, and you don't know where it is. The maps tend to be full of corners, walls, furniture, and if you want to know if something's waiting for you up ahead, you have only the option to puff out your chest and move in, or stand in place, frozen with fear as the clock ticks onward. The key to this game, as you might have guessed by now, is knowledge. There are enemies that can detect you via sound, others who can only see you, and even some who will try to trick you. That's why the best way of getting good at the game is just playing. It's that simple. And the best way of surviving is generally acting like every single entity is out to get you until you actually know who's in the floor with you. And even then, fucking damn it! So yes, even when you know what you're doing 100% of the time, the game isn't afraid to send you a curveball from time to time. And these curveballs sometimes come in the form of power outages. These happen rarely, and they don't usually last that long, but when they do happen, well, I'll just say, I shit through my chair. One thing is looking for the light switch in a dark room filled with furniture strewn all over it. Another completely different thing is that, but with one or two unspeakable horrors also looking for you, clawing at the air with one hand while keeping themselves rock hard with the other. Thankfully, the devs were somewhat merciful and gave you a flashlight to use in this situation. Sure, it has a limited battery life, but anything's better than pitch black darkness. That being said, the flashlight's battery is not the only resource you have to take care of in this godforsaken hellscape, because you have stamina. That's right, if for whatever reason God happens to hate you on a particular day, and you turn the corner to find a dude with a flower for a head running towards you faster than your mother when the bakery opens, you have a chance to try and escape by breaking line of sight, and for that you'll need to stock up on your stamina, which means you shouldn't start a round off with a full-off sprint flailing your arms around like a baboon while blowing raspberries. However, what if the situation requires you to sprint for a bit to avoid the danger altogether? How will you have stamina then in case things go south? Well, thankfully, all across the floors you'll find all sorts of items, mainly food, which will aid you in your quest by letting you fill up your stamina in different amounts depending on the food item. And as a little extra, there's some batteries you can grab as well for your flashlight. But consumables aren't the only type of item you can find around in this game, because you can also get yourself some very much permanent upgrades. See, the better you do in a run, the more money you get. You get $2 whole for every floor you complete successfully without getting your ass kicked in. And once you successfully manage to get enough money, you can buy items that serve almost like character perks, and allow you to make your very own build. For example, I have the running shoes with the hiker's backpack, which allows me to pretty much run at Mach 3 whenever I need to. And I top it off with a tracker, which beeps and boops more and more the closer an entity is to me, to ensure I don't get caught off guard while doing a task. as most of them will have your camera focus on it, leaving you vulnerable. Bonus points if you cosplay as Ellen Ripley. The one problem I have with it is the beeps actually merge in with some of the background tracks, so it can be a bit confusing at times, though thankfully it doesn't happen a lot. If I had to recommend an item to new players, it would certainly be the tracker. And speaking of things that give you a little extra advantage, while exploring around the floor you might come across a strange arcade machine with a pink screen. If you interact with it, you'll be able to choose from a selection of upgrades for your run, such as more tasks to find in the map, emergency lights if the power goes out, and even a chance to visit a friendly neighborhood vendor. Which leads to another very important topic of this game, the currency. In this game, your net worth is not determined by coins or jewels, but by how many lead pipes you can fit in your pocket. Because yes, metal is very valuable in the depths. While exploring around the floor, one of the pickups you can find, aside from batteries and food, is metal, though wires also serve the same purpose. Think of the wires as cents and metals as dollar bills. When you possess one of these, you can trade them in for helpful consumables at the dealer's store and the vending machines you'll come across in your run. These vending machines can give you plenty of items, and even better is the fact that if you insert a metal into one of these, they will grant you a consumable item of quality 3 or 4 at the very least. Just make sure your inventory isn't full. And that's pretty much the basics of it all. I could also extensively talk about the lore, the NPCs, and the general setting, as well as other things you might come across in this game. However, the reason I make these videos in the first place is so you yourself can feel compelled to check a game out and discover all of its mysteries. The game might not be as original as others when it comes to designing certain monsters or picking its music tracks, but as long as the gameplay loop continues to be this addicting, I can easily look past it. Besides, this game is still in beta, so feel free to join their Discord server to stay up to date on any future announcements. Just don't expect to be able to do much else. See, their server is so big now they actually had to stop verifying users. If you just want to stay up to date on the development of the game, you can still feel free to join and get the right roles for that. However, more hands-on actions like applying for staff or uploading art might be a more difficult task to achieve until further notice. But I respect not wanting to overload your friends and staff with the Herculean task of managing over 10,000 people. I'm honestly surprised the server could even get that many people, so congratulations! And this was the game highlight of today. As always, stay tuned for more game highlights in the future. Make sure to avoid the hatch event like the plague, since Roblox doesn't actually care for your safety, and always remember to eat your skull and go to veggies. Blocks on!